today, and we are going to talk about your Thursday lesson. We're going to go through just like we would in regular class. So we're going to learn about lesson 1-4, angle measurements. Our learning objectives are to measure angles, classify angles, identify, and use congruent angles. Anytime the sub needs to pause the video so that you guys can take notes and write all this down, just have her do that. And don't also forget that this video is going to be on Google Classroom and on my website. If you ever need to look at it again, you're more than welcome to look those up and watch them again to go over and review anything that you need to review. So let's talk about the parts of an angle. So we're going to be taking a lot of vocabulary definitions. Also keep in mind that your vocab test is probably going to be like on Monday, so make sure that you are looking at those vocabulary definitions. So let's talk about, first of all, a ray has one endpoint and extends infinitely in the opposite direction. We've talked about rays in here before. Then you're going to have an angle. An angle is simply two rays. So here's a ray right here, and here's a ray right here. And those together with a common endpoint right here are going to be creating the angle themselves. The vertex is the common endpoint, so that spot right there is the vertex. And then the sides are the two, they're called arms on here, right here and right here, are the two rays that make up the angle. Again, anytime the sub needs to pause so that you guys can write, make sure that she does that. So now let's talk about the different types of angles. The first one we're going to talk about is an acute angle. These should be reviewed. An acute angle looks like this. It is less than 90 degrees. Oh, it's a cute little angle. Then a right angle is this one. It is always 90 degrees and shown by the little square in the middle. Then we have an obtuse angle. Obtuse is bigger than 90 degrees but less than 180. When we have 180 degrees, it's just a straight line, or it's called a straight angle. In geometry, we don't use this because we call it a line, not an angle. Then if you continue past 180 degrees, we have a reflex angle. We're not going to use the reflex angles a whole lot in geometry, but it is a vocab word for right now, and you do need to know what it is. So let's do a little bit of practice. So an angle can be, I guess we're not going to do practice. An angle can be named three ways. So an angle can be named one by the vertex. In this case, the vertex is B. So we can say that this is angle B. That's one way to name this angle. The second one is by the angle number. Usually there's a number on the inside of the angle right in here. So we can also say that this is angle 1. And then we can also do it by the 3 points, where if we do it by the 3 points, the vertex always has to be in the middle. So this can be angle ABC, where you notice B is in the middle, or it can be angle CBA, again, where B is in the middle. It cannot be angle BAC, because that would make A the vertex, and the A is not the vertex. So let's keep going. We talked about those angles. We're going to move on. So let's do a little bit of practice. Remember, I know sometimes these types of problems can be a little bit overwhelming, but just make sure that you're taking them one bite at a time and we'll be fine. So in this case, we're going to measure TYV and classify it as right, acute, or obtuse. So we're going to look at angle TYV. So TYV. If you had a protractor out, you would know that that's actually a right angle. So this one should be a right angle. Measure. So then let's find out what the next one says. Measure angle WYT and classify it as right, acute, or obtuse. Well, we're not going to measure it, we're just going to look at it. So WYT. What do you think? If you said obtuse, that's right. And the last one, TYU. TYU. What do you think? Which one is that? If you said acute, you are correct. So the next thing we're going to look at is a congruent angle. Things that are the same. Congruent means the same. And we can show congruent with the tick marks, just like we've done before with the side. You also need to know this symbol right here with a funny looking S. This symbol means congruent. So in this case, we can say that angle ABC is congruent to angle DEF. Now, this is not this picture at all, but if I were to draw some angles, we could say that angle ABC is congruent to angle DEF. Now that's the naming portion. This other portion that you're going to see down here isn't naming, it's actually talking about the measurements. So the M that's right here says the measure of angle ABC is equal to the measure of angle DEF. And one thing that we definitely need to pay attention to and definitely need to talk about is when you have measurements, we are talking about an actual degrees. So if we say that the measure of angle ABC is 90 degrees, that's a degree. But if we're talking about angle ABC, this is a name. So the difference between the M in front, M means measure of. So let's do an example. I would like the sub to go ahead and pause the video here, and let's let the kids work it out. And then when they get an answer, go ahead and start the video back up, and we'll see if they're right. So the first thing that you're going to have to do is you're going to have to draw this. This says find the measure of angle BHC. So the first thing that we're going to have to do is make an angle BHC. And the measure of angle DJE. So we've got two angles. DJE. And it says that the angle BHC is congruent to angle DJE. So we know that this one is congruent to this one. Again, one bite at a time. I'm taking little pieces of this problem and I'm only focusing on just parts of it at a time. So find the measure of angle BHC. So this is the one that's going to be 4x plus 5. And the measure of angle DJE equals 3x plus 30. Now because they are congruent angles, they're equal to each other. So we can say that 4x plus 5 is equal to 3x plus 30. And we have to solve an equation. So you should have gotten x equals 25. But that's not what the question is asking. And this is something we have to be very, very, very careful about in geometry, because sometimes it doesn't ask us for what x equals. It says to find the measure of the angles. So we can say that the measure of angle BHC and the measure of angle DJE equals, we're going to put 25 back in here, so it would be 75 plus 30, so it would be 105 degrees. And they both equal it because they're congruent angles. So we're going to talk about another vocabulary word, angle bisector. An angle bisector is a ray that's going to cut an angle into halves, and it makes them into two completely congruent angles, completely the same. So let's look at this problem. If OP bisects angle MON, and the measure of angle MOP is 40 degrees, find the measure of MON. You're probably going to have to draw a picture. So MON is bisected by OP. And the measure of angle MOP is 40 degrees. Because this is a bisector, this one equals this one, even though I know it doesn't really look like it. So if we know that this one is 40 degrees, B must also equal 40 degrees. And that's where it stops with lesson 1-4. So now your sub is going to hand out some paper for you where you're going to do some practice. And you're going to be working on lesson 1-4. You're going to do both sides. So you're going to name the vertex of each angle. This is just naming a point. Name the sides of each angle. So you're naming line segments here. Write another name for each angle. We said that there were 3 different ways to write names, so you're going to be doing that there. If you can see it a little better. And then down here you're going to classify as right acute or obtuse. We're not going to use the protractor. We're not going to do this part. So don't worry about using the protractors right now. I will teach you how to use those when I get back. So just classify them as right acute or obtuse for right now. And then in the figure, ray BA and ray BC are opposite rays. Ray BD bisects. Ooh, there's that word bisect. You have to remember what that means. BBC, and you're going to be working out some problems. There is also a back side. You guys are going to be doing both sides, and it is due on Friday. So please make sure that you're working on that with the sub and have it ready to be turned in tomorrow. We'll see you guys later.